So in the last session, we have started the multi-threading. Introduction to multi-threading. We have seen how to the basically the life cycle of a thread with different methods. Like there are different thread life cycle stages: newborn stage, running stage, runnable state, then blocked state, dead state. So all these we have already seen these things in the last session. Today we are going to see how to create the threads and how to use these methods, or what are the purpose of these methods in the multi-threading chapter. Okay. So first we are going to see few methods of a thread class. Methods of a thread class. Thread is a predefined class in Java. So we are going to use this thread class for creating threads. Now there are few methods of a thread class. Get name, set name. As the name suggests, we are setting some name to that particular thread. We are getting that name, current thread's name. Then get priority, set priority. We can assign some priorities to the threads using these methods. So priorities we are going to set. Is-alive is used for determining whether the thread is still running or not. Join method is used for joining multiple threads so that parent thread should complete its execution before the child thread. So wait for a thread to terminate. Run method is basically used for whatever you want to execute through that particular thread. You need to write it down inside the run method. This is the most important method of a thread. Sleep method is used for we can suspend the thread or we can pause the thread execution for a particular time period. That is using sleep method. Start method is most important. Once we create a thread, we need to start it so that when we start that thread's execution, it will go into this runnable state. And till that time, we have the developer's work is there. After the runnable state, the thread scheduler will pick up the thread and execute it. So whenever you do the program of threads, multiple threads or any thread program, the output will always changes. It will never be the same, because when we perform the operations using multiple threads, the thread scheduler is basically the execution is depend on the thread scheduler pickup, which threads and what is the priority of that thread. Multiple things are there according to which the thread scheduler will pick up the thread. That's why it will give you the different outputs every execution. Now the thread priority is that thread priorities means these are used by the scheduler, the thread scheduler, who is responsible for execution of the threads. So thread scheduler decides which thread to choose from the ready state to execute. In theory, higher priority threads get more CPU time than lower priority threads. So whatever the priorities we can assign based on the priorities or any other scenarios, also other things also get into consideration by the thread scheduler for executing threads. So as I said, there are two methods, get priority and set priority. So in the set priority, we will provide the priority level. So priority levels are 1 for minimum priority, 10 for max priority, and 5 for normal priority. You can assign these values or these constant values also. These are final constant values. So these names also inside this as a parameter to the set priority method. So we will see all these methods first, and then we will go forward with the how to create threads in different ways. So there is a one more method, that's a current thread method in the thread class itself, which give you the current executing threads. So whenever we have seen the exception part, so main is also one thread created by the JVM itself and executed by the JVM. So always main method is also one thread. Okay, so we will try to access the current thread of execution. It will give you the current thread will be the main method, or the name of that thread is main. So we will get this with the help of current thread method. This is a static method. So we have to access it using thread class dot current thread method. It will return the thread reference for thread object, which is the currently executing. will execute this. It will give you main as the output. Okay, so main, what are other things? Name, this is the priority 5, we have seen, this is the priority, and this is a thread group under which this thread is running. Okay, so this is current thread method returns everything, the name, priority, and the thread group. Then the start method. So start method will be, the main method's execution is already started. That's why we don't have to use this start method on it. So we will create one thread object. Okay, the thread class is there. We are creating one thread object. So thread objects, there are different constructors into the thread for creating thread object. So we are going to use the default one. Okay, default one. So it will create a thread object. Now, whenever you are creating any thread object, we need to start the execution of this so that this thread should go into the runnable state and should be ready for the execution. Okay, so we will use t1.start. Okay. Now we will set the name for this particular thread using setName method. So t1.setName is the method name. Here we will pass the string name. So I'm giving my thread as the name to this particular thread. GetName is used for retrieving the name. So here we will display the first name of currently executing thread. Currently executing thread. Currently executing thread is main thread. Okay. So we need currently executing threads name we want to retrieve. So we will use the same method, that is thread dot current thread dot get name, because it returns thread object. Okay, this method returns thread object. So we are retrieving name from that particular object. We can, once we started this thread, we have set this name. We have already started this thread. Okay, so here you may get the name of the main thread or this thread name also, where we have not set any name. We are setting name here, and we can retrieving it here. Okay, so whenever you want to retrieve the current thread's name, you need to use this thread.current thread. Then you can use this get name method. Then, or directly instead of this, you can, we have set the value to the T1. So here I am using T1 directly because we just want to retrieve the name, which is T1's name. Okay, so thread T1's name. So I'm using the T1 reference. So it is not currently executing thread. Name of thread, I'm just using this. If you want currently executing, then you must use the current thread method. We can set the priority here. We can set the priority using t1.setPriority method. As we have just seen, you can use constants from the thread class. These are the three constants: max priority, min priority, normal priority. The value is 1, 5, and 10. Maximum priority is 10. I'm giving max priority to this particular thread. So what is the default priority? When this thread is created, the name of that thread is thread 0 or thread 1. Okay, by default, the default priority for that particular thread is normal priority. So here we will display the priority of the thread. Priority of T1 thread is equals to plus T1 dot get priority method. Okay, it returns integer constant value. Okay, so this is for only T1 priority. If you want the currently executing threads priority, then instead of get name, you should use get priority method. Okay, so first we will execute till here. So you can see the name of the currently executing thread is main. Okay, name of the thread T1 is my thread. Priority of the T1 is 5. That is a normal priority. Okay, currently executing, still it is the current thread is main thread. Okay, it has the normal priority. Now the slip method. We will slip the current thread for few time period. Okay, so there's some seconds, milliseconds. Basically, we have to give the value to the slip method, which is in the milliseconds. So we can use thread. I'm going to slip the current thread execution. So thread dot current thread dot slip. It should be in the milliseconds. I am using 500 milliseconds. So this execution will be stopped. The slip method throws the exception. So we have to handle this exception. That is the interrupted exception. Suppose someone try to interrupt it, it will throw the exception. Okay. So, okay, the thread method is, slip method is a static method. So you can directly use the thread.slip method. So here we are checking whether this is suspending the current thread execution or pausing the execution for 500 milliseconds. And after 500 milliseconds, it will automatically resume. Okay, now there are not multiple threads, so that's why it is terminating the execution. Okay. But we will see the thread.slip in another example also. Next one is the isAlive method. So we have already started this thread T1. If I want to check whether the T1 is still alive, it returns, isAlive method returns Boolean. It will always use just to check whether that particular thread is alive or not. So we will directly display on the screen. T1 is alive. Okay, it gives the output in Boolean format. So if the T1 is still alive, it will give you true as the output. If it is already dead, then it will return false as the output. Okay, so that means T1 is not alive. We are getting false. That means T1 is not alive. It is already dead. Okay, if to see the output, I will change here till the 1500 milliseconds. So the next output will come after 1500 milliseconds. There is a pause because we are using thread.slip method. Okay, so the execution will be paused for some time. Then the suspend and resume method. If you are suspending any thread, you can resume it using resume method. But this suspend method is deprecated basically. Still, I will show you that how to use it. We never use these methods right nowadays because this is deprecated. The use of this is deprecated or suspended. We never use this, but I will just showing you. So if this T1 is suspended, you can resume it, T1.resume, resume its execution. So these two methods are suspended. So there is no need of using these methods in any of other examples. Okay, these are deprecated methods nowadays. We only use these all methods of the thread class, and the main is also one of the thread, and it always uses, that is the execution. It's still keep in executing main thread till your main method completes its execution. ठीक है, जब तक आपका main method execution complete नहीं होता है, तब तक आपका main thread start ही रहता है. It is always the current thread while executing thread. Okay, so this is the basic methods of your thread class which we have seen. Now we will see how to create threads in Java. So there are two ways to create child threads. The thread class is a main class where it is given, already defined. But if you want to create threads for multi-threading application, if you want to create threads for performing some small tasks, then you need to create child threads. So there are two ways to create threads. First one is by extending the thread class. That means by creating the child thread class. Second one is implementing runnable interface. We have already seen the runnable interface. It is a functional interface. It has a single abstract method, that is a run method. And whatever the execution you want to provide, you can provide it by overriding the run method and writing that into that particular run method. Okay, so we will see the example how to create threads using these two. So here there are two ways: extending thread class and implementing runnable interface. So I have created for the first way, that is extending thread class, I have created one method, sorry, class, tables thread, which will extend thread class. Okay, thread class. Now here I want to perform calculating table of any number which I am passing here. Default number is 10 and the another number I am going to pass to this constructor. So I want to provide implementation to the run method here, because what this thread should work, what this thread should execute, that should be inside the run method. So we will write down the run method implementation here. So here first I am displaying current thread using current thread method, so that you will understand thread.current thread, okay, which is the thread. I just want the name of that method. That's why I'm using get name method here. Now this run method will just calculate the table of the given number. So you know that how to calculate. So I'm using for iterate normal for I want. There is no array. The length will be 10. Okay. From I1 to 10, I just want to perform the calculation of numbers, right? So system.out.println, I'm going to calculate complete statement here, that is for calculating particular one second, the system is hanged. Okay, sorry. So I'm displaying I value plus multiplied by, I should be latter, I will use number multiplied by plus I and then equal to sign. After this, I am actually calculating the value, that is number into I, because I want to calculate the table for given number. Okay, so here I am basically calculating everything inside the run method, performing everything the run method. So this calculation, in this calculation, I will use slip method for giving you the output in particular time, after particular time interval. So I am using here thread.slip method, and I am giving 500 milliseconds time. So after 500 milliseconds, it will go for the next iteration. So this throws the exception. So we need to catch that exception. That is a interrupted exception. This is the run method I am using for this particular tables thread. Okay, that means this thread will perform calculating the table of given number. Here also I will exiting thread, exiting current thread. I have done this. So first we will execute this. I am creating tables thread object T1 is equals to new tables thread. Default one I am using. Okay, I am using start method to start this particular thread. T1 dot start. Again, I am creating another object, tables thread T2 is equals to new tables thread. Here I am using the second constructor by passing the parameter 30 as 1, and then I am using T2 dot start. So you can see the output that these will start simultaneously, and which thread will give you what type of output, that we will see here. So I'm executing. So the thread 0 it started. I have never set the name. these are concurrently working. The first calculation is done, then the second thread is started, that is the thread 1, and then the execution is started. So it will give you the different outputs every time. Okay, now we are getting the proper, this is the multi-threading which is executing concurrently. So you can see that exiting current thread, thread 0 first gets executed, then the thread 1 gets executed. In this way, you can perform multi-threads. You just need to create the object of that classes or the classes which you are using, and then you can simply use the slip method also if you want, just to see the output. Okay, now here this is nothing but we are seeing the particular thread, multiple threads are executing concurrently. These threads perform the same operation, but these are executing concurrently. Okay, so these are concurrently executing, that means at the same time it is executing at the same time. We have used only start method, so which thread to pick up, that is totally depend on the thread scheduler. Now the second one is thread runnable. Second class is thread runnable. So it is used the second way where we can implement the runnable interface. So here we are using implements runnable interface. So runnable interface has run method. So here you can provide the implementation to the run method. Now this thread is used for performing addition. Okay, suppose this thread is going to perform addition of the particular iterations. So I'm going to use for loop. Okay. I'm going to show you this also here. In the run method, I will add the current thread, which is which thread is executing. Then for loop, integer I is equals to 0. I should be less than 30. I plus plus. Okay. Now here, as well as I will use j variable also. Multiple variables you can assign. So j will be suppose 5. Now in this statement, I will display what we will do is to see the output correctly. Inside the for loop, I will display this. And here I am only display thread execution started. Started for the particular thread name. Here also I will use the same statement so that you will understand that whose output is we are getting. Current thread. Okay, j is 5 and I is 0. I'm going to increment the j value into system.out.println. Addition is equals to, here I am going to add the j value plus equal to 30 plus 10. Okay, so that means 30 plus 10, whatever the value will be, that is going to add and save into this j variable. Here plus. I will change iterations. I is used only for the iterations purpose. So I'm using I value for the till 5. Okay. Now we will use thread.slip also for slipping this current thread for a few milliseconds. That is a 500 milliseconds. This throws the exception. We will surround it with try catch. So I will add both statements inside try. Okay. Now we will create. Now this is the implementing runnable interface thread. Okay, so this is not actually the thread object. So how to provide this as consider as a thread? So you can directly create the object of it and use the start method using this thread runnable is equals to new thread runnable constructor, and we are using t dot start, sorry, r dot run method directly we can call. Okay, this is a one way. Okay, this means we are directly calling the method. But if you want to make this as a thread, you just need to create the thread object, that is t3 new thread, and you can pass this runnable object here instead of creating this object of that class runnable reference. Okay, and then you can use t3 dot start. That means this will be, we are considering it as a thread and we are starting that thread. If we call the run method directly, that doesn't mean that it is the thread object. Okay, so if you want to make this as a thread object, you should pass this to this constructor of the thread by creating a new thread object, and you can start that thread. Now we have a 3 different threads executing concurrently. Okay, so it will give you the different output every time. So in every run method, we have used thread.slip. So now you can see thread executing started for thread 1, then thread 2, and thread 0. Then current thread is thread 2, thread 1. Addition we are getting thread 0. Current thread is thread 0 for thread 0. 30 multiplication is going on. 10 multiplication is going on. So this is a confusing output, right? So this is a confusing output basically. So that what will happen here, we need one join method where the first thread execution will complete, then the second thread execution should start. So that's why we will use join method to overcome this problem, because we are not getting what kind of output we are getting. So we need the 30 table should be displayed first, 10th table should be displayed, then the next output should be displayed. Okay, that means it should complete the first thread execution, then it should start with the second one, then it should start with the third one. So here we can use the join method of the thread class for performing this operation. So we will use these examples itself for doing the join example. So there is a join method which is used basically for parent thread should wait until its all child threads complete their work, and then it should exit. So it wait for threads, parent threads, calls the join method, and it will not return from there until a child thread completes its execution. That means we are joining the threads together. Okay, so we'll create the object of same methods. 1 second. Any doubt till here? Anyone has any doubt till here? Anyone has any doubt? Understood till here? Or there is?
Yes, understood.
Understood, right? So now we will see the join example. So I'm going to create, we will use the tables thread itself. We will create the thread tables thread object T1 equal to new tables thread, then table thread T2 equal to new tables thread, passing the value as 20. Third one is equals to new tables thread, again passing the value as 50. Okay, so 3 threads I am creating, 3 thread objects. Now I will start T1 dot start, T2 dot start, T3 dot start. Okay, I am starting all the multiple objects of the tables thread, as well as your main thread is also executing. Okay, so to see the output, first we will see whether these are different threads are alive and whether this thread is currently executing or all. So we will first display system.out.println T1 is alive. We'll use T1.isAlive. Similar way, we will use others also. and the main thread also, because it is also executing currently. T2, T3, T3 is alive. Instead of this, main thread is alive. Main is alive. To retrieve the main thread, we always need to use thread dot current thread, because we don't have a name with it, because these are user defined objects. Okay, and main is already defined object by the JVM. So till here we have done. So main thread is executing. So we will do, for main thread execution, we will create one for loop. This will just iterate and use the thread.slip method. So here I will display system.out.println main thread executing. Ith iteration from 0 to 10 I am considering. It will use thread.slip for few milliseconds. That is 500 milliseconds I'm going to use. We will handle the exception, try catch. And instead of this, okay, let it be. Will not get interrupted, basically. Now we will see the output first, and then we will use the join method. Now you can see that main thread is also executing 10th, 50 and 20 is also executing. So here we can see exiting current thread 0, exiting current thread 2, main thread is executing at 9th. Okay, so now we are not getting the proper output also, and all these are true. T1 is alive, true. T2 is alive, true. T3 is alive, true. Main is alive, true. Okay, but the execution is concurrently working, and it is not. Main thread sometimes stops execution before this T3, T2, and T3 completes its execution. Okay, that's why we are going to use on T3, which is the last one. On T3, we will use T3 dot join method. So you can join for a few milliseconds also. This also throws the exception, that is an interrupted exception. We will handle it. And then I'm displaying this after join. Okay, I will remove this one more time. We will execute this. Okay. We are getting different output now. Now you can see T1 is false, T2 is false, and T3 is alive. False, main is alive. Okay. Now we will use the T3.join method and execute it. Okay. So T1 is alive. That means our T1 execution is completed, T2 execution is completed, T3's execution is also completed. And then main method is still alive. It completes its execution, and then it will be false. So this is why we use it. In first execution also we got the same output, but the thing is that here these are sometimes the main method stop execution before these three threads completes its execution, and your program will stop immediately after the thread main completion. So that's why we are using the join method, so that this parent thread, because here the main method is nothing but your parent thread, and all these are child threads of the main method. So once the parent thread should wait until the child thread's execution completes, and then it should complete its work and stop its execution. That means it will be dead afterwards. Okay, before that these three should complete its execution. After completion, the thread will automatically go into the dead state, and once it is dead, that means once it is alive, is false, we cannot restart that again. Okay, any thread which is dead, we cannot restart it. We can call start method on any thread object only once. Okay, this is a join method. Clear? Any doubt?
So in the real scenario, main itself is a thread.
Yes.
Correct.
Main
Okay.
method itself.
So whatever the small threads we are writing it, all are child threads.
Yes, these are all child threads.
First preference will be given for the child threads, so that they will complete and then it will come back to the parent.
No, not like that. It is
Okay.
currently executing. Concurrently, main method is also executing.
Okay.
Current
Okay.
thread is also executing. But while completing the execution, the threads T1 should not stop. That means it should go into the dead state first before the main method should go into dead state.
Okay.
Okay. So the
all
state
the
should change.
running simultaneously.
Yes.
So is also a thread, so it will always execute simultaneously. But only thing is, all these T1, T2, T3 threads will become dead. Till that, it cannot become dead.
Yes. So
Okay.
unless and until it stops its execution and it should go into the dead state, that means is alive should return false. Okay.
Okay.
Till that time, the main should be alive. It should not stop its execution. Okay. Clear? Or any
Yeah.
other. This is just one example that here we are using main method as a thread because it is a one thread. But you can use it on another threads also, like here also we have created 3 different threads, right? Here also you can use. That means here also the main method is basically your parent thread, and these are all child threads. Okay, because we are executing all these 3 threads inside the main, that's why these are child threads for it. So on any type of thread you can use it. Okay, clear? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Now the next points. So as we have seen the runnable interface, it has a single run method. That this is a functional interface. We should provide the implementation to the run method, and then we can pass to the thread. So this is a functional interface. You can provide the implementation to this run method using Lambda expressions, anonymous inner classes, or use anything or different class which we have created in that way also. Okay. So the next important point is synchronization. Synchronization is important as we have seen that the 2 or more threads want to access same shared resource. Here in this example, these tables threads, 3 table threads are sharing same method, right? Same constructor, same run method. Okay, so they are sharing same resource at a time. Then the rest condition will arise, and so resource may go into inconsistent state. Thus, the synchronization is to achieve the lock on resource. That means if the thread 1 is executing, so it should have a lock or that resource, particular resource, any method or anything. Okay, and then after its completion, execution is completed, it will release that lock, and then that resource should be available to the next thread for performing its operation. Okay, so the thread having a lock on resource only use that resource at a time. All other threads should wait for that resource until the thread holding the resources release the lock. In Java, the shared resource is a shared object. Here we are using the shared object. That is the shared memory location. We can achieve the synchronization in Java using 2 ways. First one is using synchronized methods. Second one is using synchronized blocks. Okay. This is also known as inter-thread communication. Okay, inter-thread communication, basically when the 2 or 3 different threads, any number of threads are basically waiting for any other resource should be released and that should be used. That time we in the synchronization, what happens, sometimes the A1, there is a one thread, suppose the thread is T1 which is using this constructor, thread 2 is also using the constructor, thread 3 is also using the constructor. Suppose T2 is waiting for another resource and that resource is held by this particular T1 object, and it is also waiting for the resource which is held by this T3 object. So that times it will create a deadlock situation because one thread is already locked one resource and waiting for another resource to be released. So that concept is also known as polling or dead. We say it as a deadlock situation. So in thread consumes more CPU cycles in polling. To avoid polling, Inter-thread communication is required, and communication is required among multiple thread objects. So inter-thread communication we can achieve using object classes, three methods. Basically, first one is wait. It is overloaded method. Notify and notify all. Wait has two different more overloaded methods where we can pass the time also, milliseconds time also. Okay, so we are going to see the example of synchronization and inter-thread communication in a same example itself. Okay. So I have already created one bank class. It has a double variable balance. This is the shared object. Okay. Void deposit is also using this balance method variable. Void withdraw method is also using the balance method for updating balance. Okay. These two are using same shared object or shared variable, that is balance. Now, I want to make these methods to be synchronized. So synchronized methods always works synchronously. That means it will, if we are calling the deposit method, it will log this particular resource and perform its operation. Then it will release that particular variable after completion of its execution. And then it will be assigned to this particular withdraw method or any other resource which is waiting for that. Okay. So we are going to make any method as a synchronized using synchronized keyword. So if you want to make any method as a synchronized, you need to use synchronized keyword. Synchronized keyword. So using synchronized keyword to any method, this method will become synchronized. But we mostly use the another way for synchronization, that is a synchronized block, because in a method we just need this statement should be synchronized, because these statements, we have only 3 statements here, but if our method has 15 to 16 lines of code and only one statement should be synchronized, because it is only the one which is actually accessing that object. So there is unnecessary statements which gets synchronized. That's why we mostly prefer the second one, that is a synchronized block for synchronization. So I want to make this method also synchronized. So we will make this also using synchronized keyword. Synchronized keyword. Okay. Now here in this example, as we see that we need to use wait and notify. So this withdraw method is going to wait for the balance variable which is held by this deposit. So wait method is basically used for waiting for deposit to complete, okay, because we have a less balance. So after deposit is executed, we should, till that time we should wait. Okay, so we are going to use wait method here. You can directly use it because it is nothing but the object class method. Okay, so this wait method throws the exception. We have to handle it. That is an interrupted exception. So wait has an overloaded method. That is, you can pass the timeout in milliseconds, timeout in milliseconds and nanoseconds also. There are 3 overloaded methods. All these are in object class. So we are waiting. For why we are waiting? So we are waiting to deposit because we have a less balance. So once the balance is deposited, how this thread will know that this balance is already updated and I can withdraw? So that's why to notify all waiting threads, we use notify method or notify all method. Notify is used for notifying the thread which is in the waiting state, for which is waiting for this particular resource. So we are releasing the resource. We have updated the balance. We are releasing the resource. We are notifying it. Notify all, you can use notify all, will notify all the threads which are in the waiting state, and notify is used for notifying the same thing. Both methods you can use anytime. Okay. So now we have updated the balance. We can notify. So this is the method, synchronized method. This should be only possible within the synchronized method. Okay, wait and notify we are using only in the synchronization, because inter-thread communication is always happens most of the time in the synchronization itself. Now, to use this or to perform this, we will use bank object. Bank B is equals to new bank. Now this bank object will become the shared resource for the thread execution. We'll create a thread object, thread T is equals to new thread. Okay, new thread. Here in this thread, I'm going to provide the run method implementation using the anonymous inner class, because I don't want to create any method. Sorry, another separate class for the same purpose. So I'm using the run method here. And here we are going to call this b.withdraw method first, which is in waiting state. I want to withdraw 5,000 amount. My current balance is 10,000. Okay, I will change it to 15,000. We are getting the shortage of 5,000 rupees. So we need to start this thread first. After providing the implementation to the run method, we will start this thread. And in a similar way, I'm initializing this thread again by providing implementation. The second way is like this. You can provide the implementation to the run method in this way also. So runnable interface. Here we are using deposit method. I'm depositing the amount 5,000. We need to start this thread again. T.start. You can use the same references also. I'm creating only one object and we are assigning it two different times, two different threads, and this should be started. So I'm using, you can create a new thread also if you want. Now, when it will go to the withdraw method, it will be in the waiting state because our balance is less, and it will wait until this thread execution is completed. That means deposit is completed, and then it will notify that my deposit is completed, the amount is updated. That means this object is, which I am using as a resource, shared resource, that is going to be released. I am notifying you, okay, all the threads which are into waiting state. So this is a shared object. This is a shared object. This is a shared object which this thread and this thread is using. Okay, we'll execute. So withdrawing amount 15,000, we are getting the output as less balance, waiting for deposit. So it is in the waiting state. We are depositing. So first depositing is completed. Deposit complete. Balance after this is 15,000, and then the withdrawal will complete its execution with the current balance at 0. Okay. So if without this synchronization or without this wait and notify method, if we try to execute, so it will it is giving you the exception, interrupted exception, because I have removed it. Basically, I've removed the try catch. These are syntactical exceptions, errors, nothing else. Okay, so here you can see withdrawing amount less, withdraw is complete, the current balance is minus 5,000. Then we are depositing, and then the deposit balance is, current balance is 0. Why it is happening? It is still withdrawing, but we don't want to get it withdraw. What we want to do, we want to keep it as, once we complete the deposit operation, then it should go for the withdraw. That's why we are using here wait method. Okay, that's why we are using here wait method and here notify method, that it should first wait, and then after this deposit is complete, then it should complete its execution. Okay, so this is possible in the synchronized methods. So this is the one example of synchronized methods. Clear? This is the inter-thread communication. Second one is synchronized block. We will see the example of synchronized block. Before that, we will see the difference between slip, wait, and join methods. So slip is used for pause the execution of a thread. Wait is also used for waiting any resource. Okay, we can wait for time period also. Join method, if a thread T1 calls join on T2, it will wait until T2 completes its execution. All these are, this is a thread class method, and wait is only the object class method. Join is a thread class method. It has two overloaded forms, slip milliseconds, and with milliseconds you can pass the nanoseconds also. In the wait method, we have already seen that 3 overloaded methods. Join methods also has the overloaded methods, default where no parameter is passed. Second one is you can pass the milliseconds with nanoseconds. Okay, it is a class method. It is an instance method. Class method means static method. Okay, wait method is instance method, and join method is also instance method. Okay, so this is all about threads. Basically, we will see quickly the example of synchronized block, how to write a synchronized block. Synchronized block. Okay, so if you want to create a synchronized block, you just need to create a synchronized keyword, and then you can use the statements which you need to make it as a synchronized. So I'm using one class number. Okay, this class number which has void print numbers method. This print numbers is going to take one parameter, integer n. This print numbers here I'm using system.out.println printing numbers. Okay, after that I want to create one synchronized block. I'm not making this whole method as a synchronized method. I want to make only few statements should be synchronized. I'm using this because this, from this method itself, the current thread should be synchronized. Okay, that's why I'm using this pointer, current object. So I'm using for loop. For loop, I should be 1. I should be less than n and I plus plus. So I'm just going to display the current thread name. Thread name is thread dot current thread dot get name, and we will use thread dot slip. For 500 milliseconds. Okay. Now, instead of handling this, I'm going to use the throws keyword for throwing the exception and printing. This is a synchronized block. Okay. After that, I am at the end, I am completing printing numbers completed. Okay. This is a class number. Now we will create object of this class. Number n is equals to new number. Now we will create the runnable interface reference also for thread implementation. New runnable, provide the implementation to the run method. So in the run method, we are going to call the n.print numbers, passing the value as 3. It will throw the exception because this method throws the exception. So we need to handle it. Here, n.print numbers. Now you can pass this reference to the new thread. You can create anonymous object also. New thread, pass this R reference here, and it should start immediately. We can call the start method. New thread, are same. Okay, and start. So we are not actually saving that objects. We are only passing it. Okay, to differentiate between this, we will simply use one statement, one name also, the constructor with name, runnable reference and name. I'm executing this. So you can see that printing numbers, thread 1, numbers completed, 2 times executed and completed. So here the first thread completes its execution, second thread completes its execution, and then we are stopping that execution. Okay, so only this statement is in the running. Okay, understood? Synchronized block and synchronized method difference. Clear? Okay, with this multi-threading is completed and we will end our session for today here. We will continue with the last topic, collection framework, tomorrow. Thank you, everyone.